Hi, this is Renina of Sunshine Living, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm continuing the series Psych-OH-analyze Everything. And so this series is just about using a little humor to look at the things that are going on in this world, but also using a little psychology, some critical thinking, and some understanding that we're all human. So what can we learn from each other? Okay, so let's get started. Today, I'm talking about the Karen. Now, the Karen has been a big thing in the news, on social media, all over YouTube. And so I want to talk about the Karen from a psychology point of view to see if we can understand the Karen a little bit better. Okay? So I'm going to break it down in three parts, as I typically do. So the first is the Karen is misunderstood. And I know, when we think about a Karen, we often are talking about how ridiculous they are, how entitled they are, how they deserve to be, cursed out or slapped or treated badly. But my channel is about love and compassion, right? And a little psychology. So it's deeper than that. So the first thing I want us to know is that the Karen is misunderstood. Do they need to do better? Absolutely. And of course, my channel is not about it being black or white. It's not one or the other. We can understand the Karen, right, and show the Karen some compassion and still say that they need to do better, have good boundaries, let them know, not today, not today, Karen. But we can do that with some compassion. So I want us to hold a space of trying to understand the Karen because the Karen is number two. One of the reasons why the Karen is the way that the Karen is not because they just one day woke up and decided to be a Karen. We live in a culture, especially in the US, where we favor being strong, aggressive, or angry over being vulnerable, right? And sharing our vulnerabilities. There used to be a time when a woman could really cry if she wanted to, but in our country, our emotions are seen as negative and bad, right? Especially the vulnerable ones. And so when we don't show our sadness, our hurt, our pain, our disappointment, and we push those things down for a long period of time, what we end up with is more anger. And so, if we want to really understand the Karen, we must understand that she's doing this Freudian concept called displacement. And what displacement is, first of all, it is a defense mechanism, right, or a coping mechanism. And any of us at any time can be guilty of displacement. And if you really think about it, we probably all use displacement at one particular time or another. And so I'm going to read a definition of displacement so that you can understand exactly what it is. And you can Google this. You can find it anywhere online. So displacement is satisfying an impulse, in this case of aggression, with a substitute object. And that's real technical. So let me break it down. I'm going to give you an example first. Someone who is frustrated by his or her boss at work may go home and yell at their kids or kick the dog. Now, I love animals and I love children, so don't do that. But we do. And I know anyone watching this video has, if they're being honest with themselves, can think of a time when they've shown displacement. We don't often have the courage, the energy to deal with the thing that is the most challenging. And so, what we do instead is we take out that aggression or that emotion, excuse me, that emotion or that aggression on something that is seen as smaller or weaker, right? It's the concept of the bully. And I know a lot of people don't necessarily think about the Karen in that same way, but we can understand when a kid gets bullied, when you really spend time with that kid, you'll discover that kid was bullied. And so what the Karen's anger is really about is her own stuff. But she's found someone else to take that anger and aggression out on, and our culture has helped to create the Karen. So I know we want to be mad at the Karen, but the Karen is just a small part of a bigger issue that we have in this country. So number one was the Karen is misunderstood. Number two is we live in a world where strong emotions of anger are favored over more vulnerable emotions, and the Karen is displaying, she was created, right? Welcome to America. And what she's displaying is something called displacement. Again, not we're not trying to say it's about right or wrong because we know Karen is out of line, but we want to understand her. So the third thing that we want to understand is that, and this is where the compassion comes in, right? That the Karen is likely, she likely has some past hurt, some past pain, some past trauma that she is acting out. Again, we know that she's out of line. We know that she needs to do better, but she is seeking to find her power. All of us are guilty of this. We all have had experiences, challenging experiences, and we live in a time. We have lived through a pandemic, right? So that means that if you were living in 2020 and 2021, you have experienced a trauma. We've all experienced a trauma at this point. And when there is a trauma, we need time to process through that, grieve through that, be sad about that, be express our disappointment. And when we don't do that, and in our culture we don't encourage that. When we don't do that, we are left with emotions that are pushed down, the vulnerable emotions that are pushed down, and we are left with this defensive type emotion of anger. And so that is what the Karen is really about. And what the Karen is seeking is to find power. We are all, when we're dealing with our trauma, we're all seeking to find power. If you process your anger in a, excuse me, if you process your trauma in a healthy way, your power can be helping others, inspiring others, using the compassion that you will grow in when you deal with your trauma to inspire and do things like that. When you don't process through your trauma and you just keep going, what you will end up doing is displacement, right? Acting your anger out on other people, being aggressive towards other people, and finding your power in a dysfunctional or unhealthy way. And so the third is that Karen is likely, uh, she likely has not dealt with whatever the pain is, right? And she is finding her power in a dysfunctional or unhealthy way. And so, as a therapist, what do we do? What do we do? A couple of things. It is pretty likely that some of us know a Karen in our lives. We have to work together in order to help the Karen. And we help the Karen in a couple of different ways. We help the Karen, one, by calling it out. But you want to call it out in a way that shows compassion. It, I am not of the belief, and in this country, we have this thing where we believe that we got to match that same energy. You break, I'm going to match that same energy. I am not of that belief. I do believe that if someone is physical with you, you want to defend yourself, right? So I'm not Martin Luther King, right? But I'm not Malcolm X either. I'm somewhere in the middle. So if a person is physically aggressive with you, you want to defend yourself. I'm not talking about that. But if someone is verbally aggressive, right? Or they are saying that they're going to call the police and do things like that, we don't necessarily have to match that energy. We have to be able to see this person as a person who is being hurtful. We want to hold our boundaries, we want to speak up for ourselves, but we want to be assertive. The real power is in owning your truth. It is owning your trauma. It is working through your stuff and not sharing it or putting it on other people. The real power is in being assertive. Assertiveness is firm, it is boundaries, it is standing up for yourself, it is honoring yourself and honoring the other person. So if I happen to face a Karen, am I going to let her know not today? Absolutely. But I'm going to do it from a place of love. And I want you to use all of the information that I share today. Tell me what you actually think. Put something in the comments, write a question in the comments, or make a comment in the comments. Do you agree with any of this? Does any of this make sense? I am not saying that we condone the Karen. I'm not saying that we agree with the Karen. I'm not saying that we allow a Karen to run us over. I'm saying that we stand up. We stand up not with additional aggression. Meeting aggression does not solve problems, does not make the world better, is not mindful, is not loving, is not good mental health. What we meet aggression with is assertiveness. Assertiveness is our real power. And so, in parting, I want to thank you for watching this video. If you got to the end of the video, go ahead and like the video, join me, subscribe, and leave a comment. And in parting, thank you for listening. And I'm Renina Mentor of Sunshine Living, and go forth and shine on the world. Thanks.